Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show. I am your host, Christine Innes, and I'm so delighted to have you come and join us today and to have the most beautiful, amazing woman, Julianne, with me today. And I'm actually really excited for our conversation because when we get together, we have pretty epic conversations. So I can assure you today is not going to be any different as well. So welcome and thank you so much for joining me. I'm so honoured to have you here today.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited.
Look, it's just going to be a wonderful, just a really soulful conversation. And so I'm going to hand it over to you so you can do a quick introduction to let people know about yourself. And then we're going to have like this really great conversation to sort of talk about, how you left corporate and what was sort of the challenges, but also one of the key sort of points of why you did that. And I think coming back to the why is really important for people.
Awesome. Okay. Well, my name is Julianne Davies. Everybody calls me Jules. And I had a career, quite a successful career in hotel hospitality for 18 years. Loved what I did, but what I didn't like was I didn't have any flexibility. And when you decide you want to be a mum at 30, I think I was about 38 when we actually made the decision, I really realised, I guess, fast forward, that I needed that flexibility as a parent. Also, my husband had his own business. He was self-employed, and we saw a real opportunity for me to actually help him grow his business using my sales and marketing skills. Fast forward, whilst I love working with my husband, I knew that I needed something for myself. So I entered the world of direct selling and just literally haven't looked back. It's been a great career for me, still is a great career. Means that I've been able to transition all my sales and marketing skills that I had for years and years in the hotel corporate arena, and allowed me to transfer that over into my own business now. So essentially, it was quite an easy decision, I guess, looking back now, and I'm so glad that I did it.
And we've had conversations before, and I guess, both being mums as well. And, I decided to stay in corporate, and I think my son was 3 months old when I went back full time and did that. But there's always that sort of push and pull that you get with being a mum. Am I going to be able to be there? Am I not going to be able to be there? And, we always have this sort of mum guilt. I think sometimes that sort of comes over us, that we're not giving enough or we're not doing enough and all of that. But when you look back now with it, and I know that, going into sort of direct selling, it's sort of, has this sort of stigma attached to it and that. And I think direct selling is such a perfect idea for, for mums, because you get that flexibility, you get that time with the kids, but also you get your independence back as well.
Absolutely. Look, I think probably just going back to the first part of your question, the reason why I left corporate was I wanted to remove that guilt that women do face, but I also did the maths, and I think that's really, really important, that if you are at a stage where you're thinking about having a child, that you really do the maths. So we worked out how much I needed to earn in order to just cover the minimum childcare costs. And it was quite staggering. Like, I needed to have a full-time job, and when I started to review what it was that I wanted to do, whilst I loved hotels, it was something that I'd spent 18 years in, and it wasn't something that I wanted to necessarily return to, or that I could successfully return to part-time. I'd seen colleagues try to do it, and it just didn't work. So I really had to assess financially whether it was actually worth me going back to work, or whether there was another option. So I think that's really, really important, that whatever decision you make, you must know the numbers in order to to make those decisions. Because at the end of the day, if you're going back to make money for the family, but you're actually in negative, then it's not really worth it, really, is it?
No, definitely.
Yeah, so the second part of the question was direct selling. And yes, there is a stigma around direct selling. However, I went in it purely as a business. I had read a fabulous book called Business of the 21st Century by Robert Kiyosaki, and he talked about the direct selling industry as being a business of the 21st century. And the reason why I chose direct selling, again, was a very, I guess, a tactical move. We had a bricks and mortar business where we ran approximately 21 staff. I didn't want staff. I had an online business where I actually was holding stock, and I used to run out of stock a lot. So I didn't want to hold stock. I also wanted to be able to do it in the most cost-effective way. I didn't need to build a website. I didn't need to employ people to distribute. You know, I was, with my previous online business, I was down at the post office all the time and dealing with that, you know, having to package everything up. I couldn't go on holidays. So I looked at it from a business point of view, and I went in it as a business as well. You know, I ran my numbers all the time. I worked out how much it cost me every month in order to run my business, and I did it in a scalable way. So I think Jackson was around about 2 years old when I started in direct selling, and I did it in and around, I guess, his nap times. And I was very realistic about the goals that I had set for myself. I knew that I wasn't going to be earning 6 figures a month when I was working, you know, 2 hours a day, but it was something that I could scale up, and something that I could work around him, something that I was passionate about, and something that I could utilize my skills as well. So I looked at it from a business point of view, and yes, there is still a stigma. And if you go to my personal Facebook page, you will see that there are still people sending out cold call messages and doing all the wrong thing and being a Pamela Anderson, but I didn't want to be one of those people. So it was very much a business decision for me.
Yeah. And I think also too that we also need to sort of listen to our hearts. Like I did like a video quickly today, which is talking about more about getting out of the head and into the heart. And I think sometimes that we overcomplicate things a lot. And if we know the facts and the figures, and then we really listen to what our heart is actually saying. And, you know, I know myself, like I loved working, you know, with it. But, you know, there is also times where I probably could have listened to my heart more and gone, you know what, I really love, you know, I love being a mum, you know, and there's probably times where I would have loved to be able to sort of be there, but your head can overtake it. And I think sometimes we need to really go back and listen to the heart, listen to what is calling within us, to actually say, okay, no, it's okay for me to follow this pathway and to do it. And when you find something that you're aligned to, when something that you know is going to not only, I guess, sort of help you financially, but you can really love as well, you know, I think that is actually sort of like the perfect little bubble that you can get yourself into as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what happens is when we start new projects and start new businesses, sometimes we don't have that beautiful balance. And I felt very comfortable. By the way, it did take me a while to find the right direct selling company, even though it was sitting on my bathroom counter and had been for several years previously, but that's okay. It resonated with me. The business concept resonated with me. I just had to find the right product in order to attach my name to, and that was basically that head and heart coming together.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I find that when people do decide to sort of, you know, leave corporate, and when I say corporate, it's not, you know, always in management sort of type of roles. It's, you know, when you're working for somebody else, that you have this sort of structure in your day that you sort of follow. So, you know, you start work at a certain time, you finish work. Well, for me, I never finish work on time. So, you know, I can discount that for myself. But, you know, you have your meetings and all that sort of stuff. How did you find, obviously, leaving that sort of structure, then to sort of come back into, you know, working for yourself as well and allowing your time, business time, family time, to sort of make it workable, because we can get so overwhelmed with all the different things that we are pushed and pulled to do.
Well, I would love to say that I lived in the land of utopia and have everything together, but I actually don't. And it is a bit of a juggle. And but I think over the last sort of 7 years, I have learned that you can have it all, just not all at the same time. And that there's going to be times where that I'm going to need to put more effort into my business, and some things at home are going to have to be put on the back burner. I think probably what I did was I worked out what was really, really important to me and my family, and then I worked out what was really, really important in my business. And when I first started, I guess I had all these really amazing plans, and I tried to do too much, and things suffered at home. So there was this constant review and reset that I undertake. And sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't get it right. But I think if you can work out what is important in your family, and that is, if nutritious meals and spending Sunday is important to you, and attending the kids' sports, then structure that in your day, and then the rest will fall into place. So if you can just make things that are important to you a priority, and then fit everything in around, and be kind to yourself, I think that's the key to success. And I think a lot of people, when they first start in business, and hello, I am the first one to admit this, I thought that I was going to achieve this much. But what ended up happening was I was achieving this much, and I was getting frustrated with myself. I really had to calm that farm down and that inner itty-bitty shitty committee, and really work out what was important, and really, I guess, understand that I was in business for the long haul, and that I needed to rest and reset, review all the time, so in order to move my business forward. And I think that's probably one of the things that I wish that I had done when I first started out, because sometimes things did, sometimes the wheels did fall off, if that's probably the best way to explain it. The wheels did fall off in some areas.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that. So, yesterday I went to an amazing event, and it sort of reminded me that we have to be very fluid in life, and to, we have this sort of, circle of different things that we want that are, of importance to us. But there is going to be times where your relationship you'll put more effort into, your business you will, your kids, your family, your health. But it's trying to sort of get that balance. But it's okay to be fluid and allow the attention to go, as long as you don't just solely focus on one thing, but you can have it in multiple different areas. But what is of the key importance of that time? So that's why I love what you said, because I think so many times we go into business and we're, okay, I'm going to do this, and this is the expectation. But then when it doesn't hit, then we realize that we've put all our attention onto that one thing, that all the other things are sort of coming undone a little bit. So we actually then have to sort of pull ourselves back from the business and sort of repair some of these other things. Whereas if we can sort of go, okay, well, I'm allocating this amount of time to the business, but these are still the other top things. That could be your family, it could be your relationships, it's up to you, your health with it, and still give it the attention, but still then allow that a little bit extra time to come into your business, or, whichever way you sort of want to work it. But I think, just allowing yourself to be fluid. And it's probably something that I struggled with, because I'm a all-in sort of person, blinkers on and gung-ho, and that's it. And it took me a while to sort of go, oh, hang on a second, I'm neglecting this, I'm neglecting that. And one of the big things, I neglect my health. But without my health, I can't be successful. So
God, yes. Yeah.
people just need to know it's okay to be fluid and just to allow that sort of the flow to sort of come as well.
Absolutely. And I find it really interesting that we're also very busy. You know, we're racing through life. What are we racing towards? The end? You know, let's relax. Let's let things unfold. Let's enjoy the moment. Let's enjoy our business, because when we enjoy our business, I find that things actually flow towards you and you can flow outwards. And I just find it interesting that people, they're racing through life, and I sort of always ask myself, well, what are you racing for? You know, you're racing towards the end. Well, you know, the end is death. Why are we racing so quickly towards that? Let's just allow things to unfold. And business does have its ebb and flows, and I think that was a massive learning for me, that my business does have ebb and flows, just like my relationships have ebb and flows. My health, my exercise has ebb and flows. Everything in life has ebb and flows, and if you can appreciate that and allow for that, then you will be successful long term. And I think that's probably where a lot of us get caught up. We want these instant fix, everything is instant messages. You send a text message and you expect an instant response. I mean, how many times are you sitting on your phone, waiting for the person to respond? And we do that in our businesses. So I think it's really, really important to, if you are going to go into business after being in a corporate environment where you do have that structure, where you do come home and, you don't have to worry about work until, 8:30 the next morning, that you allow the structure of your new way of life to be put into place. And sometimes that takes time.
Yeah, and it's there's a couple of things that you said there, like the ebb and flow, and Jace Shetty says it really well. He says, if we are like this in life, we're flatlining pretty much, whereas we are meant to have, these ups and downs, and that is actually living. And I think so many times we get caught up with, like a low and all of that, but actually just to appreciate that moment and to sort of then when you do get onto those really big highs, that you actually can really be present in that moment and just go, holy crap, look what's just happened, and really celebrate. I think when you go into business for yourself, we don't celebrate the little milestones. Like, we have these big, huge goals that we want. But if you go, I'm going to allocate 2 hours a day, and you do that all week, you need to give yourself a pat on the back, because working from home, there is distraction after distraction. It's easy to go put the washing on, or your friends drop in, or, all that sort of stuff. And we really need to start celebrating just those small little wins that we have. And it's not all the financial success. It is about you saying, no, I've spent 2 hours, look, every day to do it. I've done these videos, or I've done my marketing plan. I've talked to somebody about the business. So those little wins, we need to really start celebrating that, opposed to waiting for that big, massive explosion at the end. And then you're just like, oh, yeah, okay. Is that it? So just
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree with you there. And I think what happens is we forget about all the incremental wins that we have, that when we do get to the big win, it's almost like an anticlimax.
Yeah. It's been, I think that's probably one of the hardest things, because when you're in corporate, sometimes you would have appreciation days and all that sort of stuff. But when you have to appreciate yourself for what you have done, and it's not a validation coming from anybody else, it's validation from you. And it's one of the hardest things that you can actually do, is to go, good job, and actually look at yourself and go, damn, you're good, girl, you've done well. And to do it, it's a really, really hard thing to do, and to actually take a compliment from yourself.
Oh, look, you know what? One of my biggest weaknesses is the fact that I need external validation. I am the first one to admit it. So for those of you who are watching this who, can relate, this is absolutely can be crippling when you're an entrepreneur, because you're putting stuff out there from your heart. You're exposing yourself and who you are. And then when you hear the sound of crickets, oh my God, it can be soul destroying. And that is a weakness that I am working on. You know, that internal validation, that knowing that what I'm doing is adding value to somebody's life. It may not necessarily be visible, but underneath it all, things are moving. And as entrepreneurs, it's very, very important that we do celebrate our own achievements internally. You know, and that's that fist pump, that high five. You know, I've been doing lives, and I have to say that when I first started, my legs were shaking. Put me in front of a room of 500 people and I'm fine. Do a live video and no one shows up. Oh my God. You know, and I think I've even messaged you a couple of times and said, hey, I just went live. Do you mind giving me some love? You know, because it's that internal, oh my God, what I'm saying is not resonating to anybody.
Yeah.
And then there's a shift. And, you know, but it is a weakness that I'm working on. And I think when you work in corporate, you're constantly getting that validation from your peers, you know, oh, you did a good job, or, you know, good on you, or yeah, that was crap, or yeah, he shouldn't have said that, she shouldn't have said that. But when you're working on your own, and most people, when you're entrepreneurial, you're working at home on your own. Sometimes, you know, getting a fist pump from your 10-year-old is not enough.
No, and even if you don't have kids, like you sort of sit there and you go, there's nobody around, like, well, who do I ring? Who do I message? Just go, hey, can you believe what just happened? Like it is something to do with it. And I think it also, that's why I really encourage people that when you do go into business for yourself, and I'm saying this from the heart because I've learned this the hard way, is that just take small steps. And that way then you start appreciating your journey so much more, because you will go through massive changes. And going into business for yourself is a whole new journey. But when you leave corporate, you've got your old corporate title that you're so used to, you know, like trying to say. I remember I was at my mum's birthday party a few years ago, and people were saying to me, oh, so what are you doing? And I'm going, oh, I'm not actually doing anything. Like, you know, and it was very difficult. I could actually feel my anxiety going to the next level, because I could not say my job title anymore, because, and I didn't know how to respond. I literally wanted to go into fetal position and just sort of hide away from everybody. So when you start on this sort of journey, you know, you have to really find who you are first before you can be successful, I guess, in your business, because people buy from people these days. They're getting used to stepping out away from the big brands. They actually want to know you. They want to, and I think that's actually what I really love what you do, is like you really put the service, you know, you come from a place of service. You want to serve people. You want to give them the best. And by doing that is also, you have to share about yourself. You have to let people into your life more so. And that opens up a whole new can of worms, because I would say that I would walk in, you know, I had my suit, my designer handbag, all that sort of stuff. That was my suit of armor, you know, and I didn't have to show people what was underneath, you know, and who the real person was. But being in business, in this type of work that I do, this is me. I have to be very raw, very authentic. And that can be a big struggle for people to sort of ditch that corporate title, but come back to who they really are.
Oh God, I can't tell you the journey that I have had when it comes to telling people what I do. I used to have this really very important title, you know, corporate sales manager, Hilton Brisbane, and had the beautiful badge and, yeah, like you, the suits. And when I left corporate and told people what I was doing, and that I was working with my husband in his electrical contracting business to start with, I actually said, but I've just come from corporate hotels. So I was still attached to that label. And then when I joined direct selling, oh my God, people thought that I joined a cult. And I have a very wicked sense of humour. And I used to say, oh, it's only a cult on Thursday nights when we sacrifice the goats. And that would get a lot of really, you know, obviously strange reactions. But I really struggled with saying to people what I did, and now I'm very honest and I say I work in direct selling, and people either resonate with it or they don't, and if they don't, that's okay. But I'm trying to be, I shouldn't say trying because you don't try. I am being as transparent as I possibly can. I am there to serve people who are looking for the solutions that I have. And, you know, I'm getting very, very comfortable in my skin. You know, I do drop the F-bomb occasionally. You know, I don't pretend to be, you know, anyone who I'm not. I am just me, and I think probably I'm starting to feel even more and more confident in my skin now that I am actually, you know, opening my fun side up on my lives, opening my my world up to show people what I am doing and where I'm living and how I'm living it. And as a result, my business is gone to that next level. And I think, yeah, when you do transition out of that corporate environment where you do have the, I guess, like you said, the mask, you know, you're hiding behind your brand that you're paid to represent. When you're representing yourself and you're not getting paid, you know, the sort of income that you were once used to, it's hard to sort of just be you and to brand you and be authentically in your skin. And I still sometimes struggle with that. And the way that I'm doing that is to really put myself out there in lives and in interviews like this, because it's helping me to uncover those next layers of who it is that I am.
I think I totally agree. Like, I mean, as I said, I can resonate so much with what you're saying. I think that's why we have really connected, because, you know, very similar, you know, to lose that sort of identity, but to really come into your own. And it is quite scary, because you're constantly thinking, well, what if everybody else, you know, is thinking, or how are they going to react? And it's not just the people out in Facebook land or, you know, social media land. It's also the friends and family with it, and how they can actually perceive what you're doing. And I mean, they're just sort of sometimes like my family, like, I'm right into spirituality and I meditate. I have my crystals and, you know, I do energy healing, like all this sort of stuff. And they're like going, you're nuts, like you're a bit loopy. And I'm like going, but it works for me, like, you know. And I sit there and I will talk about, you know, the visions that I have when I'm doing my meditation, and then just like I can just see the eyes rolling, you know, back in it. But you have to be so comfortable, you know, and own who you are, because there's nobody else like you. And if you want to go out there and you want to clone and be like somebody else, perfect. But the thing is that when you go into business for yourself, you have to be you, because people will start to see that you're imitating somebody else, or you're not being authentic and you're not showing up as who you are, because they want to meet that person exactly who is showing up on the camera today. And they don't want to, you know, I've seen it, like you've watched something and you go meet them and you're like, oh, it's just not the same. And I mean,
there's a disconnect.
Yeah, like I drop the F-bomb all the time, you know, and I'm like going, oh, okay, oh, sorry about that, people, but I'm just warning you, like, if you're going to come into my group, there is going to be some F-bombs and there's going to be some hard truths that come out, but that's who I am. And it always comes, though, from a place of love and service. And I know that's with you as well, that there's no ever malice intent. It's always heartfelt, because you really want the best for people out there as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you know, I guess probably I had to come to terms with the fact that I was in direct sales, multi-level marketing, network marketing. In fact, my first video that I did when I started to consistently do lives was stop calling my business a pyramid scheme. And I actually wanted to share with people how freaking annoying it is that people say that about my business. And I actually got a lot of response from a lot of private messages from people who thanked me for being honest and sharing my opinions. Now, one of my opinions was that, you know, if you continue to call my business a pyramid scheme, you look like an uneducated dick. And, you know, that took a lot of courage for me to say that, because I knew that there would be people watching that probably do think that my business is a pyramid scheme, but I really had to tell them straight. And I think once I started to get into my authentic me and share from my heart, I did feel uncomfortable. I still do feel uncomfortable, but I'm starting to draw the right people into my business who are like me, who do think outside the square, and some who are the disruptors, who go, well, hang on a minute, that doesn't work for me. I loved corporate, don't get me wrong, but I did have a yearning inside to change things, and within the corporate environment I couldn't. And of course, when I have my own business now, I can. And when I really started to step into who I am, and share that message, it's surprising how many people come out of the woodwork and share the same value. And you're doing the same. You know, you're stepping out, and you're sharing who you are, meditation, crystals and all, and you will find the right people who resonate with you. And sometimes it's not necessarily your friends and family. Look, I had phone call. My husband had phone calls from friends of his and mutual friends of ours who asked him to tell me to stop doing what I was doing, because of the stigma that they had around my business. It had nothing to do with me. It's just that they were protecting me, I guess. Misguided protection, perhaps, but they were protecting me. And I guess that fueled my fire even more to really prove to them that what I was doing was a legitimate business, and that I had chosen this. And I think when we do go into business for ourselves, sometimes our families do want to protect us, especially if we do something that's not necessarily what it was we did before. You know, like there are a lot of people who, you know, work in corporate jobs who then go into holistic health, and it's such a massive shift, but it's really where they're meant to be, that sometimes their families get concerned that perhaps they're going to fail, they're not going to be as successful as they were in their corporate. It's just their way of protecting, but it's kind of annoying. When it's all said and done, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, definitely. Like as I said, like we have the most epic conversations whenever we chat, and you know, I know that we could probably go on for ages and ages, but I wanted to just sort of ask you, like as we sort of like come to, you know, wrap things up, but what would you say would be, you know, one or two key points, like key pieces of advice from you looking back on your journey of sort of leaving corporate, going into, you know, direct sales, but, you know, starting your business? And, you know, I really do, like, I know it's a business and it has an amazing business structure in there as well. And you can make it your own. And so what would be sort of, you know, one or two pieces of advice that you would give people that if they're thinking of leaving, what would be the first step that they would need to do?
Sure. So probably the first thing that I would do is invest in skills. And by that I mean whatever you decide you're going to do, whether it be direct sales or just starting up any sort of business. Invest in your skills. And too often I see people who go into business without understanding how to run a business, what's required, how to set up a structure. So invest in that knowledge and that skill on how to effectively run a business, and that includes knowing your numbers. I hear a lot of people who say, you know, they didn't realize how much it costs to set up a business. Do all that due diligence before you start. Understand exactly what it is that you're getting into and how much it's going to cost to run your business on a daily, weekly and monthly basis. The second thing is stop chasing bright, shiny objects. Guilty! I invested too much money in chasing the elusive quick fix. It doesn't happen. Businesses take time. Businesses take effort. Businesses take consistency. So stop looking for the bright, shiny object that's going to fast track you into success. It does not exist unless you write a hit song like Taylor Swift. And I don't even think that she writes her own songs anyway. The third thing is be patient and be kind to yourself first and foremost, and to the people around you, because I got incredibly frustrated with the people around me who didn't catch the vision, and I probably wasn't showing up as my best self. So be patient, be kind. And probably the fourth thing is just start to surround yourself with people who get you and share your vision and who have achieved the success that you are looking for. I think that's really, really important. When I think when we first start in business, we are a little safe. We just stick to, you know, the people that we know, like and trust, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. But sometimes they can keep you small. So seek out people who have got the success that you want, and follow them, make friends with them. Ask them for advice if you develop a close enough relationship with them, and follow that advice. Know that they have achieved the success because they have made the mistakes, and they've got the, I guess, the blueprint, so to speak, on how to achieve it. And talk to any self-made entrepreneur, and I'm very lucky that I've got some amazing people around me, and they will all say it wasn't an overnight success. It took time. They made mistakes. They bought courses and did things that they probably shouldn't have. It was a journey, but now they've got a blueprint, and they follow that blueprint now. So talk to people who have got the success that you want, and don't listen to the naysayers. And really just, I guess, be you and do you, and live and work as though everything will be successful, because eventually it will.
Yeah, mindset is one of the key factors when you go in anything in life. And I know for myself that changing my mindset has made a dramatic change, not only in my personal life, but also in my business. And when I've actually committed and I've actually made those positive changes, I can't tell you how much it's shifted. It's, you know, I mean, you know, like in my personal life, but, you know, like just in business, when you sort of go, no, I'm owning this, I'm doing this, and I've got this, and, you know, knowing that it is going to happen and being positive about it, it changes the way that you sit, you stand, you know, the way you present to the world. You know, like you can come like and go, oh, I'm really successful. But then if you're up like this and actually saying, no, you know what, my business will be successful, and you own it, everybody starts to believe and accept into that as well. So it's a massive change, and that's something that I am really passionate about sharing with people as well, is how you can get into that right mindset and to really, you know, just change your belief patterns, because we all have these stories that we need to get over with it as well. But I
call those stories the itty bitty shitty committee. And what happens when you start to do things that are outside what is considered to be your lane. That itty bitty shitty committee, man, they hold regular meetings. And for me, it is very much around my mindset and surrounding yourself with the people who like yourself, who who can add value, as well as being just a really good human. I know that there's been times where we've both had messages to each other's going, oh my God, are we doing the right thing? Give me some feedback. And that's been absolutely life changing for, I think, both of us.
Yeah.
That we've been able to have the faith in each other to ask for help. And that's probably the fifth thing that I would do, is always ask for help when you're stuck. Don't sit at home pondering, how am I going to do this? I tell you what, there are a number of things that have become my best friend, and that is my network. Many people who are outside the direct selling industry have become my best friends simply by asking them for help. And YouTube. YouTube is fabulous. How to do anything on YouTube, and you'll find things. And don't just keep doing the same things over and over again. Ask for help as well. It's very important. And have a beautiful network like what you're creating.
Yeah, network is, I think, one of the biggest things, and you touched on it just before, and saying that when you ask for advice, ask from the people who have actually experienced it. So we can tend to go to family and friends, but then they may not have ever been in the situation that you're currently in. So if you can look outside of that and go to people who have been in a similar situation, or who have started a business from scratch, like whatever the situation is, speak to them, because they're the ones who have got the experience. They're the ones who can actually tell you what it's really like. And as much as we love our friends and family, sometimes they're going to want to put the cotton wool around and not give you the raw, honest, sort of upfront information that we really need to be able to take that next step and really up-level our lives and really take it to the next level as well.
Yeah, look, I remember approaching a very successful money coach a couple of years ago, and he actually refused to speak to me initially until I had, gone away and done some work on my listening skills. And boy, did that hurt. But I think you're right. Family and friends can sometimes protect us. And what we want to do is we want to find the network of people who are going to give us the truth and are going to help to lift us higher, even if sometimes that truth really hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. Like, I know that people are going to get so much information from that. And what I will do is I'm going to put all your details obviously below the video so people can reach out if they want to talk to you. You've got an amazing community as well, so if people want to join that and get some really useful information as well, we'll have all of the details below for them. But thank you, my beautiful friend, for joining me today. And I know that we'll have lots more conversations like this. So.
Oh, yeah. And I definitely think the glass of wine is in order soon.
Very, I think it's coming up, isn't it? Like very, very soon. Trust me, I am there. So.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you so much, lovely. Thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show. Love and light to you all, and remember that this is your life and life is for living. So talk to you all soon.